because you are in the Hoodwood. I'm the Black Bandit KJ Green, welcoming you to another edition of Sports from the Hoodwood. Coming up in this edition, we will look at the final frantic days of the NBA regular season. Who's in, who's out, and what the long-term prospects are for the playoffs. College football melts down. We've got two conferences already not playing. Good there that, head slap, good high five, as well as multitude of sports takes, information. It's Sports in the Hoodwood. Fasten your seatbelts and buckle your chin strap. Let's go.
You're tuned in to Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for the most honest, unfiltered commentary and insight on the world of sports. Now, once again, here's Hoodwood's hometown hero, KJ Green.
Greetings from the Hoodwood, where after a brief layoff, we are back, finally, after some technical difficulties. And I'm your man, KJ Green, and I will not be deterred by some specific provider deciding that our show wasn't good enough for their airwaves. So, up yours, and I'm going to continue to make the Hoodwood one of the best podcasts on the internet, with or without your help. So, I'm not bitter. I'm just a man. This is the Hoodwood. Let's start off with our first topic. The NBA hits its final frantic days. The 8-9 play-in game is set for Saturday. Now, who will be in it? One team you got will be in there will be the Memphis Grizzlies. They clinched the playoff spot on the next to last day of the regular season, and they will face either the Phoenix Suns or the Portland Trailblazers. Now, that will be determined during the course of the taping of the show. So, I may update it, I may not. But, Saturday, 2:30 Eastern, in the bubble, Memphis will either be playing Portland or Phoenix. Now, if Portland loses Thursday night, they're out. The Suns won their game, now they have to wait. Portland wins, they're in. They lose, they're out. There's no other way around it. Now, if the Trailblazers don't make the playoffs, do not blame Damian Lillard. He has put up some monster performances over the last 4 games, including a 51 and a 61-point performance. Dame Lillard may not be well liked among some of his peers. He's talking a lot of trash, but the kid comes to play. And I'm going to tell you right now, if the Blazers do get that 8 seed, they will be a handful for the Los Angeles Lakers, who are the West top seed. Will they beat them? I don't think the Lakers can be beat 4 times. But I could see this series going 6 games, possibly 7, with the Lakers being pushed to the maximum of their abilities. LeBron James and Anthony Davis better bring their A game, or Portland could push them to the brink. Now, a team I'm still convinced no one wants to deal with right now are the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker has played his mind out of his mind over the last 7 games. The Suns are the only team in the bubble that has not lost. Since they restarted a couple of weeks ago, the Suns have went 8-0. That's right. A last frantic dash to try to make the playoffs. A team that you will not be seeing in the playoffs, the San Antonio Spurs. That will be the focus of my final word. A team that has not missed the playoffs in 23 years will, for the first time in better than 2 decades, be sitting on the sidelines. We'll discuss that more in depth when we get to the final word here in a little while. But let's talk about the playoffs, which the NBA playoffs are finally, oh man, didn't seem like back in March we were just toddling along, getting set for the playoffs, that 5 months later we'd still be looking at the horizon going, playoffs? Playoffs? Are we looking at playoffs? Yes, we're talking about the playoffs. And with the Milwaukee Bucks being the number 1 seed out east, despite Giannis Antetokounmpo's stupid, and I say stupid, he almost got the head slap of the week But we'll discuss that later. He almost got the head slap of the week for an absolutely stupid headbutt. Giannis, what were you thinking? You being the presumptive most valuable player, you don't do stupid, ignorant shit like that. It's just, why would you headbutt someone who's taunting you, talking trash? Big deal. Let them talk. Makes no sense. Getting back to that 8-9 playing game, which is interesting that the 9 seed can win twice and steal the 8 seed, where the 8 seed only has to win one time. I would love to see the 9 seed win that first game, and then the 8-9 seed basically being a one-game playoff to face the Lakers. Will it be Memphis? Will it be Portland? Could it be Phoenix? Don't sleep on the Suns. I still think if the Suns get into that play-in game, they're going to be a handful for Portland, and they could be a handful for the Lakers. Now, are the Lakers still the presumptive favorite for the NBA title? Yes. I still say that the Lakers can turn it on when they want to and win the title. Now, I still think that Milwaukee, the defending champion Toronto Raptors, don't sleep on them. And the LA Clippers have the best chance to push the Lakers, if not eliminate them. Now, you have teams like Houston, Oklahoma City, Utah, Denver. They've got good shots out west. And in the East, it's a mess. I mean, teams like Miami, Philly, Boston, they can all challenge Milwaukee and Toronto for East supremacy. But I still say, and I put it on video now, that I still think the top seeds, Milwaukee and the LA Lakers, will be in the showdown for the NBA Finals come October. Let's take our first time out and come back and look at the mess that is college football. We have the Big Ten and the Pac-12 already saying they're not going to play. Will the Big 12, ACC, and SEC follow suit? Or will they try to make a bigger cash grab? And how could the NFL make football season totally there? But what comes back at you after this.
Into sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for no-nonsense commentary, insight, and opinions on the world of sports. Here now live in living color, black by popular demand. Your host, KJ Green.
You are back in the Hoodwood. Accordingly, my name is KJ Green, and we will delve into some college football next, but I also want to let you know that we are going to have a very special guest in the Hoodwood next week. A friend of mine who has battled the coronavirus and has come back stronger, tougher, and a big fan of the Hoodwood. We'll be interviewing him next week. He'll be helping co-host the show, and we'll have a lot of fun talking about college football, baseball, and all sorts of sports here and there. But let's talk about college football, if you will. The college football season is going to be a mess. Let's just call a spade a spade. with the Pac-12 and Big Ten deciding that they are not going to play a fall schedule, that they may be playing in the spring, you have the three of the Power 5 conferences, ACC, SEC, and the Big 12, still kind of saying that they're going to play. The SEC is going to play a conference-only schedule with the season's kicking off September 26th. Now, the Big 12 and the ACC are kind of following similar schedules. Now, the conference that's just outside the Power 5, which considers itself one of the top-notch mid-majors, if you will, if they like to say Power 6 conference, right outside the fringes is the American Conference, which my beloved Bearcats play in. They have said they're going to play a full schedule. Now, with all these teams still kind of playing these semi-full schedules, but they're going to play all conference schedules. How is this going to shake up for the college football playoff? Because you're not having any kind of intersectional games. You're not having out-of-conference games. So you're not going to have the Clemson-South Carolina game. You're not going to have the Georgia Tech game. You're not going to have the Michigan-Notre Dame game. And, of course, with the Big Ten sitting it all the way out, you're not going to have the Big Ten teams play at all, which means teams like Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan are not going to be factors in the college football playoff. Will this mean that the SEC has even more of a stranglehold on the college football playoff? Will this mean that it'll be Clemson and maybe Notre Dame? Because remember, Notre Dame is now going to be playing a full ACC schedule for this year. Will this mean that they'll be in the ACC full time? That's going to be left to be seen. But with all of the scrambling that's going to be done, are we really going to have a valid college football playoff? Are we really going to have the four best teams playing for the national championship? And then after that national championship has been decided, what about what happens with the Big Ten and Pac-12? They're going to play in the spring. Then what happens when they're done? It's a messy, convoluted situation because you're going to have college football all over the place, all over the map. Not to mention how this is going to affect the NFL draft for 2021. Are you really going to have players in the Big Ten or the Pac-12 play a spring schedule, then get drafted in the NFL? Will this give them an undue advantage? There's possibilities that you still haven't even thought of. Bigger still, you can almost guarantee that the NFL is watching this. They're sitting there going, if these college football conferences aren't going to play, why can't we spread our schedule over more days? Play Saturday. Could you just see NFL pouncing on a Saturday triple header, making themselves national with fewer fans in the stands because of the COVID-19 concerns? The teams are going to have a little bit more flexibility in terms of travel, in terms of putting on a game, in terms of putting on TV. I could just see Roger Goodell saying, okay, we're going to play Thursday nights, we're going to play Friday nights, we're going to play Saturday afternoons, we're going to play Sunday, we're going to play Monday. We're going to spread our product all over the place. And the NFL already has a monopoly on pro football, and it dominates the sport in a way kind of overshadows college football. NFL is so ubiquitous and omnipotent that they figure the more they can spread their product over, the more dominance they can rule, the more money they can make. And do not be surprised to see Roger Goodell decide, hey, we're going to play more days. We're doing this to expand the reach of the NFL, to bring more football to the masses. No, what they're doing is a cash grab. That's basically what it is. But with college football product being a little thinner, with a number of conferences deciding they're not going to play right now or taking the 2020 season off, one has to wonder if the NFL might try to fill that breach. Something to think about. Take another timeout. Come back with the Hoodwood Hot 5, as well as Phat, Head Slap, and the final word from the Wood. Hoodwood continues after this.
no-nonsense commentary, insight, and opinion on the world of sports. Here now, the man with 100% certified fresh taste, your host, KJ Green.
And on we go in the Hoodwood. My name is KJ Green, and this is a segment of the show where we discuss 5 topics worthy of discussion in the Hoodwood. We call it the Hoodwood Hot 5. Our first topic deals with the Portland Timbers, who won the MLS is Back Cup just a few days ago against the FC Orlando, beating them 2-1 in a very, very spirited final. The Portland Timbers basically stormed through their round robin phase, knocked out my beloved FCC Cincinnati in the first round, and went through 3 more teams on its way to its first midseason cup. I like the MLS's Back Cup. I think that kind of a round robin tournament in the middle of the season is a good, nice motivator. I've never really figured out the supporter shield and stuff like that, but a nice tournament in the middle of the season, it generates a lot of focus and interest and gives teams something to shoot for. It's not the MLS Cup, but it's still something nice to shoot for. Bravo to Portland for pulling out the win. Now, how does a player get ejected from the seats? It's our second topic in the Hoodwood Hot 5. Steven Strasburg must not have liked the balls and strikes that were being called in a recent game because he was ejected. The umpire threw him out of the game. But here's the thing. Strasburg wasn't pitching. He wasn't on the bench. He was in the stands, heckling the umpire. The umpire didn't like it and threw him out the game. How do you get ejected from a game that you're not even playing in? You're not even on the bench. Answer me that. We'll get back to that. The thing I don't understand, and our third topic here, is the leadership of the NCAA, or lack of leadership. Mark Emmert, who's the president of the NCAA, basically is sitting like someone with his hands tied and has not really given any kind of clear directive on how sports should be handled, most notably college football. And it seems the NCAA has always kind of had a hands-off policy when it comes to college football. They can drop the hammer on teams that they think are cheating, but other than that, they've given no real clear leadership guidelines. There is no real uniform procedure. The CFP basically is not really sponsored by the NCAA. It's kind of an offshoot of it. And the NCAA quit to reap in the money for it, but has had a hands-off policy on giving any kind of leadership. And it's failing college football in a time that needs leadership most. I think the NCAA panicked when they called off the NCAA tournament, basketball tournament, back in the spring. And I think they're further failing the sporting public and college football by not giving any kind of clear leadership or direction. Mark Emmert should resign as NCAA president because he's doing nothing. Our fourth topic in the Hoodwood Hot 5. Now, I've said who I think my most valuable player in the NBA should be. Should be Giannis Antetokounmpo. He should defend his MVP title he won last year. But I'll give you a thinking man's choice for MVP. And it's not so much a thinking man's choice, but more kind of a dark horse. Luka Doncic. Now, I'm not one to throw any kind of racial overtones in my sports observation. This is a compliment. That's a cold-ass white boy. Luka Doncic is averaging close to 30 points a game. Averaging close to 10 boards a game. Averaging close to 5 assists a game. Those are obscene numbers. And he has pushed Dallas, who was a fringe playoff team last year, firmly into the playoffs, and they could be the toughest of outs for number 2 seed. This is a team that no one wants to deal with. Luka Doncic, along with Kristaps Porzingis, are making a really formidable 1-2 punch for the Dallas Mavericks. They will be a tough out. And I still think that while Giannis will win the MVP, don't sleep on Luka Doncic. I said before, I'll say it again. That's a cold-ass white boy. And he will win an MVP before it's all said and done. He might win multiple ones. And he's going to make the Dallas Mavericks a tough team to deal with going forward. Our final topic in the Hoodwood Hot 5 deals with Major League Baseball. Now everybody talks about the Yankees and how good they are. And my beloved Twins have been playing fairly solidly as of late. But all the Chicago Cubs, the dark horse best team in Major League Baseball. I mean, you look at the standings, the Cubs are leading the NL Central far and away. They are up 5 games. I guess it's 5 games on the 2 and 3 Cardinals. The Cardinals only played 5 games. They haven't played since July 29th, but that's neither here nor there. They're 12-3. They are light years ahead of the competition in the NL Central. And there are no real teams in the NL Central that looks like they're going to push them. The Cardinals haven't played since July 29th, as I mentioned. The Pirates and the Reds keep scuffling along. The Brewers are kind of middling along, but they're not scaring anybody. The Cubs may run and hide from the rest of NL Central and be booking their playoff spots before Labor Day. You think it's far-fetched? They're quarter way through the season, and they're up 5 games. Leading by 5 games now is so much bigger than it would have been under a 162-game schedule. 12-3, that's saying something. Let's take our final timeout. Come back with Phat, Head Slap, and the final word. Sports from the Hoodwood heads down the home stretch after this. Hi everyone, I'm KJ Green. If you're looking to reach a broad audience for your advertising dollar, look no further than where you are right now. You can advertise right here in the Hoodwood. If you need spots created as well, Black Banner Productions Enterprises can create commercial content that drives sales and gets results. You can send your inquiries to ads at blackbannerproductions.com. Black Banner Productions and Enterprises. Sounds, ideas, and images of the 21st century.
You're tuned in to Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for the most honest insight, thorough analysis, and unfiltered opinion on the world of sports. Now, once again, here's the man of the hour, After Hours, your host, KJ Green.
Running third and headed for home here in the Hoodwood. Let's finish up strong with the Phat, head slap, and the final word from the wood. This week's Phat Dap goes to LeBron James. Not for his basketball prowess, but for his political clout and prowess. He is working with the Los Angeles Dodgers to open up Dodger Stadium to be available as a polling place for the upcoming 2020 national elections. Now, I've heard some critics say LeBron should just shut up and dribble. Well, this is another piece of evidence that LeBron James is working with the community at large to make the nation a better place. Isn't this what you want from your athletes? To not just be dumb athletes, but to actively work with their communities to make them better places? LeBron James working out in Los Angeles, that is a fine example of what should be done. Shut up and dribble my butt. I don't want to hear any kind of talk like that. Bravo to LeBron James for working with the Dodgers, and bravo to the Dodgers as well for trying to make our community better and to give more people more voices to vote. Our head slap of the week. I saw this headline and it just blew me away. Kima Severin. Never heard of him. He's a wide receiver who came out of Oklahoma State. Signed as a free agent to just a $2,000 signing bonus by the Seattle Seahawks. Severin did not know how to act. Why? He tried to sneak a woman into the team hotel. Even though the team hotel is locked down in quarantine, they're trying to be in some sort of bubble for their training camp. The female patron was disguised rather poorly in Seahawks team gear. Severin was caught, the woman was ejected, and Severin was promptly cut by the Seattle Seahawks. Best wishes to you, Kima. Getting that booty call, was it worth it? Was it worth it? Apparently not, because he got cut. Head slap to Severin for thinking with the wrong head. And now, without much further ado, let's go to the final word from the wood. 1997. It's a pretty decent year for me. I was a new father. Princess Katie was still just a little squirmy arm baby. I had just finished college the previous fall and was readying a move to Minneapolis. 1997, the Arizona Wildcats defeated the Kentucky Wildcats. I remember being there in Indianapolis, watching and saying, the Wildcats will win the title. I was very, very sure of that. 1997, good year for a lot of things. Bill Clinton was starting his second term in office. We still hadn't heard who Monica Lewinsky was. We had no idea who George W. Bush was, other than being the owner of the Texas Rangers. Barack Obama was still working in Illinois. Donald Trump was still an asshole millionaire. Still, that's how long it's been since the last time the San Antonio Spurs missed the playoffs. Their coach was a heretofore little-known Greg Popovich, who was taking over the dual roles of general manager and head coach after firing Bob Hill the year before. The Spurs, many people felt, tanked the season when David Robinson got hurt and ended up winning the NBA draft lottery that following spring, getting Tim Duncan. From that point on, the San Antonio Spurs did not miss the playoffs at all for a run of 23 years. Think about how long a period that's been. We went through 4 presidents. We went through countless changes in style, technology, but there's always been the Spurs in the playoffs. The NBA season was done. Spurs usually had a top 4 seed in the playoffs. The Spurs' decline first started when Tim Duncan retired. Many people thought Greg Popovich would be right out the door behind him. But to many people's surprise, including mine, he stayed. San Antonio Spurs, with Pop's coaching and the shrewd talent evaluation of general manager R.C. Buford, have been a mainstay in the NBA postseason for better than 2 decades. With their loss, they were eliminated from playoff contention. And for the first time in better than 2.5 decades, you will see a representative from the San Antonio Spurs at the NBA draft lottery. Can the Spurs rebuild? Can they get back to their top-notch ways? I don't see a Tim Duncan out there, but I do see Greg Popovich there. And I have that feeling that as long as Pop is still controlling these strings, controlling the reins of the San Antonio Spurs, that they will be a team to be reckoned with. Now, they've went through a variety of players, whether it be Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Kawhi Leonard, but they've been able to cycle through players and still play ball the Spurs way. I've knocked it as boring. I've knocked it as tedious. But the one thing you could say about the Spurs is that they are consistent. And that in itself needs to be commended. Yes, the Spurs will not be in the playoffs this season. But you can bet your bottom dollar that their hiatus from the playoffs will be brief. This will be a team that will be back and stronger much sooner than you would think. And that is the final word from the Wood. Hey, with the music coming on in the background, you know that means your time in the Hoodwood is just about over. And I thank you so much for your visit again this week. If you want to send me an email for the show is kjgreen@blackbanditproductions.com. Send me email with show topics, questions, comments, and criticism. And of course, correspondence and try to respond to each email as quickly as possible. You can catch this podcast on a number of sites, including Amazon Prime, where it's hosted. You're also iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Spotify, whatever you find for a better audio. The show site itself is hoodwoodsports.podbean.com. That's the show back catalog, as well as the soundtrack, which is with Hustle, and the audio version of the show, ordered with Hustle on the site. I'm also on Facebook at Black Bandit Productions Enterprise. I'm also on Twitter. As always, to rate pictures for the executive production of the show, and that is that. Until next time out on the Hoodwood, I'm KJ Green.
Sports from the Hoodwood
Is a Black Bandit Productions and Enterprises presentation.
of a 551 Audio and Films production.